Yeah,
Everyone's here?
let's go on.
All right. Come back from our recess. Wow, really cleared out the room.
I know, right?
All that's left is the criminals, the three criminals in the audience.
All right, I guess we're up to a review of the 8 p.m. business meeting agenda. Bob?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, thank you. The 8 p.m. agenda meeting was posted on Friday, February 28th with attachments. We have a number of additions we'd like to see, we'd like to propose that you consider on the agenda this evening. We had on the agenda Resolution 20-150. This is, you essentially had a draft of it. We needed the extra time to complete the process. We advertised for competitive bids for 112 items that the fire department regularly purchases. And we had 9 bidders, and the resolution awards contracts on a per unit price. So it's not an overall price, it's a per unit price. So that information is attached there. I am pleased to report to you that, and I know this because I added it up, 37% of those 112 items are at last year's cost or lower. So again, you know, we do all the work and we aggregate the volume of Franklin Lakes and Oakland's fire department as well. And we do the work so we can capture some discount prices. So that worked out well.
Fantastic.
It worked out well. And those prices will be used by our fire department throughout calendar year 2020. We have 2 other resolutions, and they're for road closures. They deal with constructing utilities across the road. One deals with Hickory Hill, one deals with Everett Avenue. Those were requested on Friday after we had sent you out the agenda. So those are rather typical and customary. There's nothing special about those. We also have a resolution to release closed session minutes from the last meeting. We'd like to add that to the agenda. And we also received an ordinance late today from Mr. Garlick, from Mr. Landel's office, and that is an ordinance that authorizes a land acquisition. And I provided that to you this evening before the meeting. It's also, Joyce provided a copy that if you have any questions, Mr. Garlick and I will do our best to answer them if you have any. If not, that concludes my report of the 8 o'clock agenda. I think that's everything, right, Joyce?
That is Bob.
Thank
And
you.
Bob, I know
Thank
I
you.
asked for 20-C2 to be on the 8 o'clock meeting, but I'd asked that we move that to the 17th. I did not bring all my notes, and I want to have all my notes handy. So if we could move that to the 17th, that'd be great.
Township Committee agrees, we can strike that from the agenda.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so that should be everything regarding the agenda. And of course, you have the honor of presenting a proclamation to a local businessman at 8 o'clock this evening as well.
Very good, thanks. Okay, we're up to report of the Township Committee. Rudy?
I'm going to keep my report very brief, Mayor. I just want to add quickly to what Bob mentioned about the ordinance for introduction tonight. We kind of sprang that on you. Apologies for that. But this is an ongoing process. We authorized back in November or December. This is for the Gardens of Wyckoff Brackett property. We authorized a resolution back in, it was either November or December, and to go forward with investigating this and to spend some money on surveying, and it's all working out. So this, and Bob rightly pointed out, we need to do this by ordinance. So hence the ordinance here tonight. So, and the only other thing I'm going to report is, I guess it's kind of off the Historic Preservation Commission agenda. The barn on Wyckoff Ave has been sold to the owner of the business. So.
You mean on Sycamore?
On Sycamore, did I say?
You said Wyckoff Ave.
I'm sorry, Sycamore Ave, thank you. The barn original on Sycamore Ave has been sold to the owner, who was one of the bidders in the process, and he was successful, And there's a closing date about 4 weeks from now, and it's all going to continue and on. It looks good. We're working with him now. He's got a lot of septic work to do over there. We're trying to schedule that all in. And so it's going to continue unimpeded for maybe another 90 years. So, as a restaurant. So, that's good news. That's good news, yeah.
That is good
Yeah,
news.
yeah.
Okay.
Well, that is good news.
Yeah,
Anything else, Rudy?
that's all I have. Thanks.
Melissa?
Sure. Couple of things. In terms of the fire department, the fire inspection is going to take place on March 27th. They are going back to a full inspection and competition between the three houses. So that's pretty exciting. And we went around to each of the houses last month. They were kind of told the rules. There's a committee that's kind of coming up with the rules, and they're being conveyed to each of the houses. And then there are going to be independent judges who are going to judge the three houses. And the judges are not going to convene by themselves. They're going to be with the committee who is kind of planning the inspection. So more details to follow, but plan on attending that on the 27th. Flow Follies, I believe, is this Thursday through Sunday. And we are, I believe, all participating, for better or for worse.
At least one of
I
the
joined
days.
late, so Andrea was unable to find a spot for me, but I did offer.
Okay.
So I told her I would just promote for her.
So that should be exciting, and Constantine Maroulis of American Idol fame and Wyckoff fame is going to be performing. So celebrity power there. For the zoning board, they passed an application at 11 Madison Heights that had been before the board as well to expand the first floor and add a second story to, I believe, a 2-bedroom house currently. And there was a new application at 51 Midland Avenue to put in an in-ground pool and a pool patio. That is ongoing. They had some suggestions as to flipping where the patio was and some other things to reduce the variance. So we'll come back to that at the next meeting. Design Review Committee is meeting next week. The cabinet store in the middle of town is no longer in existence, and the bicycle shop is expanding into their space. So that's a good thing, and they're
wow.
doing some work to the outside of the building. So that's what we're meeting for design review.
So is the bicycle keeping what they have and just
I believe
expand?
so, yeah,
it'll
they're just
be a bigger
expanding into
bicycle
the
store? Okay.
showroom that was the cabinet store. Zabriskie House is going to be starting a pretty big renovation project, and all of the furniture and everything is currently being moved out into storage, and I think they're working on appraising all of the furniture now. And I guess Tom, do you want me to tee up Finance Committee?
Sure.
Okay. We have had several meetings of Finance Committee. We do have a draft of the budget that we're going to be introducing on the 17th. Really proud of it. Things went really smoothly this year. Great input from Tim Brock and Joe Vanderplatt and Dave Murphy and Scott Fisher. Bob and Diane McLeod all worked together as a great team to prioritize safety and service at the lowest cost to taxpayers. So we're pretty proud of the budget that we're going to be introducing. I'll let Tom expand on that a little bit. And that's all I have.
Okay, we'll move down the line to Tom, then we'll go right into your report.
First of all, as a member of the police committee, well-deserved the promotion of these two officers. And congratulations, I didn't have an opportunity to congratulate them live, but Sergeant Ryan Tenney, Sergeant Kyle Ferrara, it was a very competitive process. We're thrilled to have both of them, and we're very excited for their careers here in Wyckoff. Second thing on the budget, as Melissa mentioned, we've been working from a finance standpoint. We have one final meeting next week, with then the plans to, as she stated, introduce the budget on March 17th. The other thing too is, I just wanted to comment, because the last time we were here all together on February 4th, I was kind of consumed with the field, but I know there was some thoughts or comments about the mayor's wellness. As you know, I was the mayor last year, 2019, and as part of my goal, and each mayor has their own goal, was community outreach. So the mayor's wellness for 2019, I know there was comments that we need to rejuvenate it, but it was an extremely successful year. So we were able to promote through our social media many worthwhile topics for the community, and many touches throughout the years and the various things that we posted on our social media. From my standpoint, and from them, the comments I received within the community was very effective. We had a total of 38 postings, including integrating wellness and outreach. Again, that was an initiative that I chose last year. Didn't cost us any money. Each mayor obviously has their own thoughts, and it's up to them. But just to highlight a few, and maybe it's a good time because maybe some people missed it or doesn't always get it, but, you know, we did postings on medicine safety for children, good health, National Nutrition Month, which was in March, Health Week, which was last April 1 through 7. We had a proclamation that we put together promoting April 2nd through April 6th as National Public Health Week. We had promotion on substance abuse and prevention that went out to the community, fighting the flu, the opportunity and the need to talk to your teen about conversations that are important within the community. We had a few things in the summertime as far as be careful with UV rays and sunburn and heat exhaustion, pedestrian school safety, at school crosswalks is a shared responsibility, prevent poison, so poison prevention. June was National Men's Health Month, which went out over the social media here in town. We also talked about alcohol use and your health and preparedness, heat exhaustion, heat stroke, be prepared for any disasters, safety tips, again, for our young people in town, planning escape routes should there be an emergency or a fire, or things like that. Take control of your health, 6 steps to prevent a fall, which was geared towards our seniors in town. Make the right call, any poison emergencies, awareness, should there be any poison issues at home or around town. Drive sober, get pulled over in conjunction with our police department. We had like a cartoon edition we put out there as far as be careful with ticks in the wildlife area. Sources of lead, and be careful with lead and any lead poisoning, whether it be at home or home remedies and different hobbies. Eating right, health tips, which was put out there. Safety for kids. When we came to Halloween, we really promoted be safe with Halloween and trick-or-treating and parents' responsibilities. We had several notices on vaping devices. Of course, vaping has been in Wyckoff, was outlawed to under 21-year-old back in 14, and we've been aggressively pursuing that. We talked about the issues that we had last year. We had some coyote scares. We did a lot of PR on that. Warning signs of suicide, which is near and dear to me. I've orchestrated a few programs at the high school with the Ganley Foundation, and it seems to impact too many of our young people. Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month we had last year, so just some of the highlights. So I wasn't looking for any accolades, but maybe it was missed. We did a lot in social media, which was the objective. I want to thank Denise Caparelli in particular, who we worked together to get this information out, and on a very timely and frequent basis. The original goal was to get a couple of notices out per month, and we averaged almost 3 a month. And then the last thing I just want to say, I had the opportunity to go to a presentation at the library last week on vaping and the concerns. I want to say Steve Clark did an outstanding job promoting it with the panel. There was a good crowd there. Unfortunately, I had some difficulty hearing in the back, but I kind of got the gist of the concern, and Again, we're trying to do what we can in town, not only promote health and safety, but particular in the middle schools and into the high school, it's a concern, so that's all I have to report.
Thank you. Beth?
Tom, that was an extremely extensive list. Thank you very much for sharing that. And I do apologize if I misspoke or offended you in any way. I didn't mean to imply that there was nothing done last year with Mayor's Wellness. I was really sort of excited about this 8-week program, and that itself hasn't been done since 2016. So when I meant rejuvenate, I was talking about that, not about Mayor's Wellness in general.
Well, I'm glad we did this, because it was good for everybody, plus, one, they could see it, which is good, but it's up to Mayor Shanley.
To our audience. So, anyway, I guess I'll talk about Mayor's Wellness. I did meet with Oakland and Franklin Lakes, so we will be doing a Flow Mayor's Wellness Challenge. It's going to be 8 weeks, starting April 22nd through June 8th. We're still working on details and flyers, but we have several businesses who have offered to participate at no cost. So my goal is also to do this at no cost to us through the generosity of businesses, and people will pay just a participation fee in order to have access to all of these resources. So that is the Wellness Challenge update. Since the last meeting, I attended the Safety Committee meeting. It was my first one, and I thought it was very thorough, and I appreciated the range of people who are on the committee and attended. I also attended the Environmental Commission meeting that I thought was very effective. I would like to thank you for your Super Recycling Saturday. I'm very excited about that. Basically, from 9 to 4, all over town, something's going to be going on to celebrate the 50th anniversary of Earth Day.
We need volunteers.
Yes, exactly. And any volunteers? We need lots of people to make this happen, so that would be great. I attended the Teens and Cops at the Y, which was really well attended, and it looks like everybody had a lot of fun. I also attended the vaping presentation and concur that Dr. Clark did a great job moderating that, and I think everyone who attended got a lot from the presenters and their presentation in the back. He has also been very proactive regarding the coronavirus and sharing information and disseminating that. And I'd like to thank Bob and Nancy Cole for coming in on the weekend, also for making sure all of that was out in a timely manner. I did have a question, Melissa, about the Design Review Committee. You mentioned there was a meeting next week, and
Yes.
I thought I was the liaison to the Design Review Board.
I was liaison still. Or no, I decided to.
I'll have to check.
I have that here, actually, for January 2020 from the Resolution 20-02, and I am listed on the Design Review.
Oh, okay.
So if
I'm
you
still
could
getting
just-
the emails, so I'll have
That's
them
fine, if you
switch
could
it
just
over
let me know
to
when
you.
it is.
Yeah.
I'd like to attend
It's
that.
March 9th.
Okay, perfect. Okay. Okay, sign review. I also attended the New Jersey League of Municipalities Budgeting for Elected Officials seminar. It was extremely helpful, and I'm sure I will be using that on March 17th when I get your budget. Two things I wanted to bring up when we were together as a group. One is I'd like to propose reestablishing the subcommittee for plastic bags, because it has come up in the Environmental Commission a few times, and I believe the Chamber of Commerce, it's on their radar, and I personally think we should be proactive about that. I'm willing to volunteer for that if anybody else wants to join me in that.
But we still have the subcommittee. It was never disbanded.
Right,
Yeah.
but the one person who was on the subcommittee is no longer here, so I am willing to volunteer to step into that role. And the other person was you, so if you're willing to do it,
Well, like I said at the Environmental Commission, Beth, you know, we held off expecting the legislature to do something.
Right,
And the legislature failed to act. Now, there's a legislature that's controlled by all one party. So I don't know what little Wyckoff is going to do. I mean, we have, but like I said at the Environmental Commission meeting, when I think someone brought this up, just plastic bags misses the larger picture. So, and we need to talk to the Chamber of Commerce. If the business community isn't going to be involved, I don't want to say we're going nowhere, but that's not the way we operate in Wyckoff. We like to get everyone involved, so we're all together. But everything I read from ANJAC and everyone else, towns, municipalities are being put under pressure to adopt these policies in an effort to put pressure on the legislature to act again. Now, that's not our role here. Our role is to do what's best for Wyckoff. So we can talk about reestablishing the committee, but we need to define the role, is what we need to do. So we can have a discussion about that.
Okay.
I have no problem with that.
Well, and the issue is also, we have heard from the Chamber of Commerce.
Correct.
Who are much more in favor of their program to possibly purchase 5,000 reusable bags and have our role and the Chamber of Commerce role be to encourage our residents to use the reusable bags, because they're telling us that they're hearing from other towns that have passed the plastic bag ban that people are shopping in other towns purposely.
That too.
So we need a real study on what's going on with towns that have passed the plastic bag ban already as to whether they're losing business and losing money, because the last thing we want is to pass something that hurts our local businesses.
Right, but isn't that what a subcommittee would do, is do that research? I mean, I'm not necessarily saying that we need a subcommittee to write an ordinance and pass it. I'm saying I think we need a subcommittee to look into this, and maybe it isn't to pass a plastic bag ordinance. Maybe it's to encourage the reduction of single-use plastics. You know, and I also don't necessarily think that we heard from a representative, I don't know what the word I'm looking for, like, I think we just heard from restaurant owners in the Chamber of Commerce. I
Well,
think there are other businesses that.
No, that's unfortunately not what happened. What happened was Brian Scanlon had a meeting with representatives from the Chamber of Commerce and didn't invite me to the meeting. So that's unfortunately what happened.
Right.
And he came back and reported that they were in favor of a plastic bag ban. We went back to them and they said, we are absolutely not in favor of a plastic bag ban. So that's where the subcommittee left off. I don't know if
Okay,
anybody
and-
else has a,
No, and by the way,
Feeling on
that's
that.
my recollection as
Yeah.
well. And I sent in 4 or 5 things to Brian Scanlon, never heard anything from Brian, didn't respond.
Well,
encouraged
honestly,
it.
that's neither here nor there, because
Can I
he's not
finish?
here
Can
and
I finish?
I am, so.
Can I finish? Can I
Yes,
finish?
I apologize.
And specifically, he told us at one meeting that members of the chamber were in favor of getting rid of their to-go containers and so on. And I spoke specifically with the president of the chamber, who will be here tonight, who said that wasn't the case. That's how he feels. But I spoke with Lee Park, he said that wasn't the case. We went to the chamber meeting in January, and they seemed to be very alarmed with the concern that the town could, or would do something. And at last chamber meeting, which I was at, February at the Larkin House, they were very enthusiastic about their program with reusable bags.
Right,
Now,
that's
I
great,
too-
and
Now, I too was on the Environmental Commission a few years ago, and was the liaison there, and that was our number one creativity. So I'm not taking a position here, I'm just saying, I think we're putting the cart before the horse.
Let me make a suggestion here, just to maybe move along here. Tim's the mayor, I'm the liaison to the Environmental Commission. Why don't he and I have a discussion about this, and we'll come back with a recommendation?
Thank you.
Sure.
Okay,
That's-
good,
that's-
sorry, and
that's a
I
good
have one
solution.
more thing I just wanted
Sure,
to
go
bring up while we're here together as a group, while we have time to talk about it and it's not rushed, but I did want to address the pride flag raising ceremony for June, so it's March now, so let's just, I don't know what I'm proposing, but I think that.
Can I just make a point that
Which
this is
ceremony?
something that should be on the agenda, that this is not, when we do township committee reports, we do reports about our liaison
Right.
positions. This is something that needs to be on the agenda so that we can research it and be prepared for it ahead of time.
Fair enough. I just felt like these were two issues that I have spoken about individually, and I felt like it wasn't moving along, so.
But
I-
that's not, but our mayor controls the agenda. That's how the town works.
Right, and this shouldn't be for political posturing, because it's an
It's not.
election year. So I hope we're not
Yeah,
going
it
that way.
is.
Seems like we're going that way.
We
All right,
absolutely
I think we're
are
getting
not
a little
going
bit
that way.
behind if you want to talk to me about a future meeting on things on the agenda, I will be happy to have a
Okay.
conversation.
Okay, then I apologize if that was not the
Okay.
proper way to do that. Okay,
Anything else?
I'm done.
Okay, thank you. I will try to be brief. As the police commissioner, I was happy to be part of the promotion process and interviewing our police officers. Tremendous process. And Rudy, I want to thank you because you were on the police committee last year and you were part of some of the process.
Thanks, Tim.
before
When you're done here, if we have a minute, I just want to make a comment about that.
Okay. But the
just
one,
quickly,
but the one comment I'm going to make is the 4 officers that were part of this process are incredible people. And it's just a tribute to the hiring practice that we've had in the past. Rudy, you've been here the longest. Tom, you've been here second longest. We have some tremendous officers in there, and it would have been easy to promote any one of those officers that were there. But we have a set process, and that's why I wanted Bob to explain it, because that's why we are a certified police department and well-recognized, and that we follow all the rules, and everybody's who goes up for promotion has to meet all the processes that were set up. So, but we definitely are in very good hands with the police department that we have and our officers. So, thank you,
Thanks,
Bob,
Tim.
for explaining that. And I just, as you could see, I wasn't at the police, the teens and cops that was at the YMCA, because that was my
Forgot to mention that.
my son's birthday. He turned 11 on the 27th, so, and he's the middle child, so I was not going to miss that and have a middle child syndrome established. So I made sure I was home for his birthday rather than going to the teens and cops at the YMCA. But I heard great things came out of that based on all the officers who took place and our great police chief. So that was a fantastic event. I just want to touch base on the Shade Tree Commission meeting happened tonight. They are up to date on all their tree pruning requests. There's just a handful that Scott Fisher needs to just finish up, but nothing major. But they're caught up, and that's a tribute to how we've funded that process, because they were so far behind on getting all the trees trimmed, and our DPW couldn't keep up. But adding extra money to that helped clean up that backlog that we had of tree trimmings. So, good job by the Budget Committee last year in budgeting for that, and we're caught up. It'll change when the spring comes and the leaves start coming on and they realize that there's more dead branches on it, and the list will go up, but as long as we continue to keep doing what we do, we'll be able to keep up with that. The Shade Tree Commission is going to do a combined Earth Day, Arbor Day planting at Russell Farms, because they're gonna have to move some of those trees out of the tree farm that we have there. Some are getting very large. Scott Fisher is gonna pull out some of the big ones to put so that there's trees, shade trees in the area that we're gonna do the improvements to. And they plan on Saturday, April 25th, to do a tree planting. They say 10 a.m., it could be 9 a.m. We'll try to get the exact time that they're gonna do it, but they plan on doing it on Saturday, April 25th. I wrote down 10 a.m., but at the end, they said, well, maybe it'll be 9. So it'll be that day. So plan on being there for the tree planting
I got a
ceremony.
quick question. Did anything
Yeah.
happen with the schools? Are they interested in doing a
The,
tree?
the schools had, Bob, you want to talk about this? Because you had the conversation where they want possibly one, if we tell them what type and what size. And then Scott's going to have to get that information to them, but it's not a given that they're going to do it. And Beth, you've been working with them too.
I have a meeting on Wednesday with all the principals, so I should have an answer if I can provide them the information, and then we'll.
Yeah, Scott's going to provide the type of tree. It's most likely a maple, but he's got a couple different ones over there. And I said, well,
Okay.
give them your smallest and your largest and see what they, if they want it.
Okay.
But we can't force the school district to take it if they don't want it, so.
Yeah, I was going to say that the information I reported was based on my conversation with Ms. Fisher. The school would like to know the size of the tree, and I believe the species of the tree. And as Beth said, there's a meeting to review that.
Right.
And At that time, I suspect they will say if they want the tree, and then a decision can be made on the timing of such a planting of the
Right.
tree. So I've asked Scott to get me that information,
Gotcha.
and I will provide it to Ms. Fisher.
Very good. And then, Beth, thank you for a meeting with Franklin Lakes regarding the mayor's wellness, because I had met with Mayor Bavona at Franklin Lakes, and he had expressed interest in doing something jointly with us, with Wyckoff. But he actually has a paid employee on staff to handle his mayor's wellness, and I told him, we don't have a paid employee that handles mayor's wellness. So I appreciate you picking up the slack and allowing, and meeting with Dina and Mayor Bavona's people in Franklin Lakes, because they're doing the flyer, which helps, and then we're just kind of putting our names on it and trying to do that. So thank you for spearheading that. Also, on Mayor's Wellness, I've participated in 2 or 3 conference calls regarding this coronavirus. I did one today with Governor Murphy and the Department of Health, State Department of Health. They're still claiming it's low risk in New Jersey. There still hasn't been a confirmed case in New Jersey. The problem is there's 2 confirmed cases in New York, one in Westchester County and one in New York, which is just a hop, skip, and a jump over the river. So I'm monitoring what's going on and trying, and I talked to our police chief, because we have an OEM office. And they have experience when there was the SARS outbreak and some of the others. So we have ability to, put some things into place if we have some type of outbreak in New Jersey. But right now, one of the awful things about it is it has a 2% death rate right now. And flu is less than 1%. So unfortunately, it could be very deadly to the elderly. Anyone over 50, I'm over 50 as well, but I don't think I'm old, but it unfortunately is the target area that they're saying, because what happens is it leads to respiratory failure and septic shock, which leads to, patients unfortunately passing away from it. So, I did try to put in a question to the governor today, because he was taking questions, but my question wasn't addressed, so I'm gonna have to send an email, and it involved, Melissa, you had sent a text, is there anything we could do regarding I forgot the name of the place that, teaches karate or martial arts, who has members, employees that come from Korea, which is now a hot zone, unfortunately. South Korea is a hot zone for it, where they're self-quarantining themselves before, and they're closed. I wanted to know what the state is doing for people that are self-quarantining, to making sure that when they're done self-quarantining, that they're checked before they possibly expose the public. But unfortunately, my question wasn't reached.
Yeah, that's something I emailed everybody about that I am concerned about. They said in their email that their self-quarantine
Right.
period was only 5 days,
that's what I wanted to
which is
say.
not enough to self-quarantine.
It is certain, it's 14 days.
This
It's-
is the middle of our town, and so I'm hoping that there's
So
something that we can do.
I will try to get that question that I wanted to ask answered, to see what the state is doing to help people with this self-quarantine, to make sure before they take themselves off self-quarantine that they're not passing on any kind of disease. The only good thing that I got out of this conference call, having young children, is for some reason, and they can't explain it, why it's not affecting pretty much anywhere in China, Italy, the young children.
I actually
It's-
read it today. It's because all those nasty, drippy colds that they have, a lot of them are
They're a
low-level
corona-based,
coronaviruses.
they are a low level, so they,
They have a
which
lot
is
of
a good thing.
immunities built up already,
Right,
so they seem to not be getting it.
right, so that's why, the good thing is it's not affecting our young, but it's affecting people that are 50 and over.
What's a little disturbing, though, is I asked both of my kids today if they're being asked to wash their hands anymore in school, and both of them said no.
And the one problem I had heard is Eisenhower, the boys' bathroom, doesn't even have soap dispensers because somehow they get broken off the wall, so they don't put them back on. So it's something,
Also disturbing is that I heard if you don't flush in kindergarten, you don't have to wash your hands. So, there's no flushing or washing your hands.
I'm not sure that goes on in
Board of Health should
Washington.
know about this.
I don't know, maybe, I don't know, maybe that's a Lincoln thing, but I don't think it's
I
a
think it's a
Washington
Lincoln
thing.
kindergarten thing.
But anyway,
But I do think it would be nice if our schools were telling our kids to
Wash
wash,
your
their
hands.
hands a little more often. And if they had, the fact that they don't have soap dispensers is really disturbing.
that's a problem. I know a lot of the mothers were not happy when they heard that, so I'm assuming that they've done something already, contacting principal
That's super
ISL.
disturbing.
But we'll see. That was one of the things I heard. But that's basically it. I'll continue to monitor this, and when I became mayor, I was hoping my mayor's wellness wasn't going to be about a disease that could, a virus that could take over. But yeah, I will do my best to make sure Wyckoff is protected. And I have nothing further. Does anyone else? Go ahead.
It occurred to me on a positive Wyckoff note, with swearing in these, promoting these two sergeants, here at a township committee meeting with the mayor issuing or administering the oath. I sat on a police committee off and on for a number of years, and I also need to acknowledge Bob sits at the police committee all the time. He's a permanent member. And I take a certain measure of satisfaction in being able to say that I hired many of the officers who are here tonight along the back wall. And during the hiring process, one of them, who came here from another Bergen County town, larger town, in the interview with the police committee, said when he was hired in that town, he never talked to anyone higher than a captain. And he said, here I am looking for a job in Wyckoff at a table talking to the mayor and the police commissioner. And we bring our officers here for promotions. And it's just the kind of a thing that makes Wyckoff the sort of a special town that we all like to think it is. And I just thought I would share that. It's not the type of thing you share with a lot of people, but to share that with us tonight. So,
Thank you, Rudy.
and that's all I have.
We have any report from the attorney?
I don't have anything to report.
Okay.
If Rob has anything that he needs to pass along,
Okay.
I'm sure he'll let Bob know.
All right, very good. Anything else, Bob?
Yeah, I have a lot of stuff. My PAIs, I don't think I can do them in 2 minutes. So maybe we can recess and do it after the 8 o'clock meeting.
Sure. Okay, so I guess we need a motion to recess?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.